Now let's talk about the diversity of sexual behavior. Like food, sex is an important part of our lives. From evolutionary perspectives, the reason is obvious. It is for the perpetuation of the species. However, sexual behavior in humans involves much more than reproduction. So biologically, we have the sex, which is one's assignment upon birth and is dependent on physical features, being male or female. On the other hand, gender is an identity that is learned and embraced by the individual. It is both a personal and social construct. As a social construct, gender is known to be the socially created roles, personality traits, attitudes, behaviors, and values attributed for men and women. Gender roles refer to societal expectations of how men and women should act. Everyone has a basic idea of gender roles. Men are assumed to be strong and dominant, while women are perceived to be submissive and demure. Sexual identity and gender orientation underlie one's concept of self. A person expresses his or her sexuality through individuality. One's belief and behavioral lifestyles are based on his or her own perceptions of sexuality. So we have also gender identity. Many people fuse gender identity with sexual orientation into one group because of stereotypical attitudes that exist about homosexuality. In reality, these two are related, however, they are actually different issues. When we speak of gender identity, it refers to one's sense of being male or female. And when we speak of sexual orientation, it is a person's emotional and erotic attraction toward other individual. So what is heterosexual? Heterosexual is labeled as straight, like when a man is attracted to a woman and when a woman is attracted to a man. How about homosexual? So this happens when individual or someone is attracted to a person of the same sex. It is important that we are responsible for our self-expression with regards to our gender orientation and sexual identity. We should take note that our behavior in various situations would entail consequences. We need to realize the possible effects of such actions and be able to regulate our own behavior, including our sexual behavior. Now we will talk about LGBTQ+. So what is LGBTQ+? So LGBTQ is an umbrella term, an acronym for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer or questioning. These terms are used to describe a person's sexual orientation or gender identity. So first is the lesbian. So a lesbian is a woman whose enduring physical, romantic, and emotional attraction is to other women. And next is gay. This refers to male people whose enduring physical and romantic and also emotional attractions are to people of the same sex or other male person. And then bisexual refers to a person who has the capacity to form enduring physical, romantic, and or emotional attractions to both men and women. And transgender is an umbrella term for people whose gender identity and or gender expression differs from what is typically associated with the sex they were assigned at birth. So people under the transgender umbrella may describe themselves using one or more of a wide variety of terms, including transgender. What about queer? So this is an adjective used by some people whose sexual orientation is not exclusively heterosexual. While the Q is seen at the end of LGBT, it can also mean questioning. This term describes someone who is still questioning their sexual orientation or gender identity. So, next is sexual orientation and gender identity issues. There's a lot more to being male or female, or any gender than the sex assigned at birth. Your biological or assigned sex does not always tell your complete story. Here are some contributing factors. First, sociocultural factors. What is the norm of the society? How the society view heterosexuality and how the society view LGBTQ+. And second, family influences. How children's upbringing and social environment influences their developing gender identities, more particularly the family. And the third is urban setting. There are research discoveries that homosexuality is positively correlated with urbanization. The large cities seem to provide a friendlier environment for same-gender interests to develop and express than in rural areas, according to research. Now let's move on to understanding the chemistry of lust, love, and attachment. Falling in love can be beautifully well experienced. It is a rush of longing, passion, and euphoria. According to anthropologist Helen Fishers, she proposed 3 stages of falling in love. First is lust, or the erotic or passion, which stage is marked by physical attraction. Lust is driven by hormones, testosterone in men and estrogen in women. And second is attraction, or the romantic and passion. At this stage, you begin to crave for your partner's presence. You feel excitement and energetic about the things you could do together as couple. And the third is attachment, or the commitment. This is a stage involve the desire to have lasting commitment with your significant other. At this point, you may want to settle down, get married, or have children, and you are committed for a lifelong partnership with someone. Now let's also discuss the consequences of sexual choices. Sexual intercourse is the productive act in which the male organ enters the female's reproductive tract, or the vagina. Adolescent couples who engage in sexual intercourse are usually overwhelmed by the sensations they feel during the act. However, if the woman is fertile during the time of the intercourse, pregnancy is likely to occur, and it lasts approximately 9 months before the birth of the child. Having a child entails a big responsibility and should not merely be a consequence of an impulsive moment. Physical risk to having an early pregnancy may impact an adolescent's development, including miscarriage, emotional stress, and health risk to both mother and infant. Aside from pregnancy, another consequence of impulsive and careless sexual intercourse is the risk of acquiring sexually transmitted diseases or STDs. Among common STDs are syphilis, gonorrhea, chlamydia, and genital warts. The most alarming sexually transmitted disease is the acquired immune deficiency syndrome or AIDS, which is caused by human immunodeficiency virus or HIV. It can be transmitted by contact between broken skin, wounds, or mucous membranes and HIV infected or blood contaminated body fluids. And we are also going to talk about the Responsible Parenthood and Reproductive Health Act of 2012. So it is a law in the Philippines that guarantees access to contraceptive methods such as fertility control, sexual education, and maternal care. It is important that everyone makes responsible decisions with regard to sexuality, sexual behavior, and even the responsible use of family planning methods, may it be artificial or natural family planning, which has both advantages and disadvantages. Now, I would like to emphasize how to be responsible in our sexual behavior, which entails the following. First, respect for one's body. It means taking care of one's body and avoiding activities that undermine one's worth and respect. Second is maturity in thoughts and deeds. It refers to being objective, rational, and calm instead of being swept by one's emotion. Third, being guided by one's personal beliefs and core values. Everyone, especially an adolescent, should always be grounded by his or her personal principles and self-worth. And lastly, being future-oriented. Instead of focusing on the present, a person should always weigh his or her present actions with possible consequences in the future. So that will be all for now. Thank you for listening.